Morning. On the PSN network, they had a sale on GT Sport. I've never purchased a racing game before, never really been into them. Anyway, decided to purchase it. So after playing GT Sport for the last few weeks, I then decided to invest in my first wheel. So this is my bad boy. I've finally got it set up. So I've got the T300 base with the GT wheel, associated pedals, and I've got the Pro Stand. The best features, we have the Argos catalogue, so you don't damage the power cable. Notepad from work to reduce the distance I'm pressing the pedal, make it easier. And we have the lumbar support. Because I'm such a new person to the sim racing world, I'm going to show you my development from a brand new sim racer, hopefully to be to the point of becoming something of some sort of standard. Now what I've got coming up is the first ever video that I recorded. It was actually my first race using the wheel, and I believe it's in Series B daily race. So yeah, have fun with that. Majority of the future videos are most likely going to be in karting. I just enjoy that sport the most. So I'll catch you guys later. Hello, and we're just coming into the start of this race now on Series B Daily. So as I've already mentioned, this is the first race with my racing wheel and pedals set up. Carrying too much speed, far too much speed into this corner. One thing that I noticed when I first looking back when I got the rig is that the torque settings, not torque settings, but the settings and the feedback I've found not to be set ideal. I've looked online and I've noticed that there's some people have suggested. I then went back and reduced them down to 1 for the sensitivity and feedback. I've since then gone back and increased the feedback and the strength of the wheel, just so I can get a little bit more feel and there's a bit more of a fight to the wheel. So this is my first race. This was around 2 weeks ago. So since having this race, I've been mainly doing a lot of karting. I've taken a liking to the Dragon Trail Seaview race. I must have laid down about 50-60 plus laps on that track. It's I'm not sure why it became my favourite. I watched someone's video and they suggested that really you should just pretty much pick a car, pick a track and learn it. So this is where I've kind of leaned into karting a little bit. I don't know the tracks and there's lots of different cars, so if I stick to one car at least I can learn the tracks. That's kind of my thinking behind it. And at least karting seems to be one type of car that's supported by a lot of people. I'm seeing it as the great leveler. There's a little bit of play on the gearing, but it's a big part of it's about skill, and a lot of the races seem to be very, very close. So the next video that I'm going to be after this one, I've already got recorded, it's going to be a comparison between my first time on the Seaview track against the most recent time on that track, where it was me and originally it was 3 other people, but somebody ended up backing out about halfway through. But what was so great about that race was how, I say, cordial it ended up being. I accidentally bumped the German fella off the track, and at one time he bumped me off the track. I waited for him to let him regain a position. I didn't want to gain an unfair advantage. He did the same to me, let me regain. So it was purely down to racing. He was incredibly good at regaining his position for the times that I did take the pole position. And for my recent experience, I've only been doing it for a few weeks now, I find karting extremely brutal, and it's one of the difficult things about it. You can push and you can vie for a position, and you get one person who decides just to nudge you up the rear end, and it absolutely ruins a race, and it spoils 10, possibly 15 minutes. I don't know, in some cases it could easily be longer. It's disappointing, it's heartbreaking sometimes, and it's, yeah, try not to let it get you down. But that was one thing that you may like to see about this race. Even though we had the race was that close, we both wanted to win it. It was almost inevitable that we was going to make contact, because we were really pushing for the win. And it was good to see that it was purely down to the racing and not people going for the cheap shots. So let's have a quick look. And so at the moment I look to be dead last. The fastest lap is running at just over 2 minutes, and I'm probably just running not far off 3 minutes at this moment. So you're getting a good idea on how actually terrible I am, given that this is my first race with the wheel. Another track that I have tried, or I'd say raced, is with the Teslas, the automatics. That, I'd say, is a very... I think it's harder than the go-karts, to be fair. I don't know why. They've got no traction whatsoever. Constantly no traction. Constantly understeering. They don't hold any pace into a corner. They're just an incredibly difficult car to drive. So this one is coming towards. Oh, again, same mistake. Far too much pace, straight into a wall. It's one of the biggest issues that I noticed. Was purely carrying too much pace into corners, not braking early enough, not braking in a straight line. Brake hard, then turn, and then feather the throttle. You know, these are things that a lot of people know. Certainly some I have no idea. What was surprising was, it was almost gutting. After I'd shelled out X amount on my setup, I expected instantly that I was going to become good. Which, as you can see, I'm not, as I just get lapped. I am much worse with the wheel than I was with just a pad, which is heartbreaking. It really is. You shell out in excess of £100 for a piece of equipment. You have the idea that thinking that you're going to become decent, and it does not happen without effort. So just holding onto it there. Starting to get a bit of a feel for these S-bends. Pushing a bit much. Oh. Managed to pick up a 5-second penalty there. So we're not too far off coming towards the end of the race. I didn't manage to make it to the last lap. Looks like that my race is going to end on this lap here. I managed to make it all the way down to roughly 40 or so seconds off the fastest lap pace, which is very sad, but it's what I expected in some ways. This is not. It's far from an arcade game. It is a simulator. Although PS4, it is very much simulating what you would expect to see, or you'd expect cars to react on the track. Again, too much pace, too much pace. So I've already got 3 people that have finished now. Race is just coming up. Race is wrapping up. Should get a couple more people coming across the line. And I've finished. Plus 1 lap. And a penalty. I'm not sure why I actually picked Alfa Romeo. I saw someone else's stream that the Alfa Romeo looked quite a cool car, so there's a reason why I pretty much went for it. So the next video, as I've already said, is going to be karting on one of my favourite karting tracks. That's going to follow. Let's have a quick look at what the car is. It's going to be a Porsche. Okay. Well, hopefully you've watched it to this point. If not, no worries, and I'll catch you next time.